He married a stranger for money. She married him for revenge, but neither expected to fall in love, or that the truth would destroy everything they'd built together. Before we begin, I want to thank you for being part of Deep Stories. If you believe that people can change, that forgiveness is possible even after betrayal, hit that subscribe button right now. This is a story about revenge, redemption, and the unexpected power of love. Now let's begin. Marcus Donovan had everything a man could want. At 38, he was the CEO of Nexus Technologies, a company he'd built from the ground up into a billion-dollar empire. Penthouse overlooking the city, sports cars, private jets. But there was one thing Marcus didn't have, and it was about to cost him everything. His grandfather's will was crystal clear. Marcus had 90 days to marry, or the family fortune, $300 million, would go to charity. The old man had been traditional, believing marriage would finally teach his arrogant grandson some humility. Marcus saw it differently. Marriage was just another business transaction. "I need a wife," Marcus said, sitting across from Victoria Chen, owner of Elite Matrimonial Services. "Professional arrangement. 1-year contract. $500,000. Victoria didn't flinch. In her line of work, she'd seen stranger requests. "You understand this is highly unusual, Mr. Donovan?" "I understand I have 87 days left," Marcus replied coldly. "Can you deliver or not?" Victoria slid a folder across her mahogany desk. "We have several candidates who might be open to such an arrangement. Professional women facing financial difficulties. This first candidate is particularly interesting." Marcus opened the folder. The photograph showed a woman in her early 30s. Dark hair pulled back, intelligent eyes, simple but elegant features. Nothing flashy. Nothing that would draw attention. "Perfect. Sofia Reeves," Victoria read from the profile. 32 years old. PhD in literature. Associate professor at Westbrook University. Recently denied tenure. Significant student debt. No family to speak of. Why would a professor need $500,000 badly enough to marry a stranger? Marcus asked, though he didn't particularly care about the answer. Victoria's expression remained neutral. "Does it matter, Mr. Donovan? You're offering a business proposition. She has financial needs. It's quite straightforward." Marcus studied the photo again. Sofia Reeves looked ordinary, forgettable, exactly what he needed. Someone who wouldn't complicate things, who would understand this was purely transactional. Set up a meeting, he decided. 3 days later, Marcus met Sofia at a quiet cafe downtown. She arrived exactly on time, wearing a simple gray dress and minimal jewelry. No pretense. No attempt to impress him. Marcus appreciated that. "Mr. Donovan," Sofia greeted him, her voice calm and measured. "Victoria explained the nature of your proposal. I'd like to hear it directly from you, straight to business." Marcus liked that too. "It's simple," he said. "I need a wife for 1 year to satisfy the terms of my grandfather's will." "You need money. I'm offering $500,000 for 12 months of your time. We marry, live together to make it convincing, and when the year is up, we divorce quietly, clean, professional." Sofia took a sip of her coffee, her expression unreadable. "What exactly would living together entail?" "Separate bedrooms," Marcus clarified. "Public appearances when necessary. You'd have access to one of my credit cards for personal expenses, within reason. Otherwise, you live your life, I live mine. Think of it as a very well-paid acting job." "And what happens if one of us develops feelings?" Sofia asked. Marcus almost laughed. "That won't be an issue, Ms. Reeves. I'm not looking for love. I'm looking for a business partner." Sofia held his gaze for a long moment. There was something in her eyes, something sharp, calculating, that flickered and then disappeared. "I have conditions," she finally said. "I want $250,000 up front, deposited in an account I control. The remaining half upon completion of the year. I want it in writing that you won't interfere with my career or personal life, and I want the option to terminate the contract if you become abusive or unreasonable." "Done," Marcus agreed immediately. "My lawyers will draw up the paperwork. Can you be ready to marry within the week?" Sofia paused, then nodded slowly. "Yes, Mr. Donovan, I can be ready." They shook hands across the table. Marcus felt satisfied. This would be easy. A simple business transaction with a woman who clearly understood the terms. He had no idea that Sofia Reeves had been planning this moment for 2 years, that she'd carefully orchestrated their meeting, that she knew exactly who Marcus Donovan was and what he'd done to her father. The wedding was held 5 days later at City Hall. No guests, no flowers. Just Marcus, Sofia, 2 witnesses from Marcus's legal team, and a judge who rushed through the ceremony in less than 10 minutes. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the judge announced without ceremony. Marcus didn't kiss his new bride. Sofia didn't seem to expect it. They signed the marriage certificate in silence. Mrs. Sofia Donovan, the document now read. It meant nothing to Marcus. Just ink on paper. "My driver will take you to the penthouse," Marcus told Sofia as they left the courthouse. "I have a meeting in Tokyo tomorrow. I'll be gone for a week. The staff knows you're coming. Make yourself comfortable." "Of course," Sofia replied, her voice even. "Safe travels, Mr. Donovan." "It's Marcus," he said. "We're married now. Might as well use first names." "Marcus," Sofia repeated, and something in the way she said his name, cold, deliberate, should have warned him. But Marcus was already thinking about his business meeting, about the inheritance now secured, about how smoothly everything had gone. He didn't notice the way Sofia watched him walk away, didn't see the steel in her eyes or the slight tremor in her hands as she climbed into the limousine alone. Sofia Reeves, now Sofia Donovan, had waited 2 years for this moment. 2 years since her father had died, destroyed by the man she'd just married. 2 years of planning, positioning herself perfectly, waiting for the opportunity she knew would come. And now, she was inside Marcus Donovan's life. Inside his home, inside his carefully constructed world. The revenge she'd been planning could finally begin. The penthouse was everything Sofia had expected. Cold, modern, expensive, and completely devoid of personality. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Minimalist furniture in blacks and grays. Abstract art on the walls that probably cost more than most people's houses. It looked like a hotel suite. A place to exist, not to live. Mrs. Donovan, the housekeeper, a woman in her 60s named Clara, greeted Sofia warmly. "Welcome home. Mr. Donovan left instructions for me to show you to your room and help you get settled." "Thank you, Clara," Sofia said, grateful for the kindness in the woman's eyes. "And please, call me Sofia." Clara led her through the massive penthouse to a bedroom on the opposite end from the master suite. It was large and comfortable, with its own bathroom and a small sitting area. "Nice, but clearly guest quarters." "Mr. Donovan thought you'd want your privacy," Clara explained, then added quietly, "I've worked for Mr. Donovan for 5 years. I don't ask questions, but if you need anything at all, you can trust me." Sofia understood what Clara was really saying, that she recognized this wasn't a normal marriage, and that she was offering an ally. "Thank you," Sofia said sincerely. "That means more than you know." Over the next week, Sofia settled into her strange new life. Marcus was in Tokyo, so she had the penthouse to herself. She explored carefully, noting everything. The study where Marcus worked late into the night. The home office filled with files and contracts. The complete absence of family photos or personal mementos. It was the life of a man who kept everyone at arm's length, who trusted no one, who built walls so high he'd forgotten what it was like to be human. Sofia had researched Marcus Donovan obsessively for 2 years. She knew his business history, his reputation for ruthless deal-making, his string of short-lived relationships with models and socialites who meant nothing to him. But being in his space, seeing how he lived, added dimensions she hadn't anticipated. This wasn't just an arrogant CEO. This was a man who'd armored himself so completely that he'd become a fortress, impenetrable and alone. For a moment, just a moment, Sofia felt something, almost like pity. Then she remembered her father. Thomas Reeves had been a brilliant engineer, Marcus's first business partner when they'd started Nexus Technologies 15 years ago. Thomas had developed the core technology, the innovation that made everything possible. But Marcus had controlled the business side, the contracts, the legal structures, and when the company started to take off, When investors started throwing money at them, Marcus had betrayed his partner. He'd used a legal loophole to force Thomas out, keeping the patents, the technology, the company, everything. Thomas had tried to fight it. Spent years in legal battles he couldn't afford. The stress destroyed his health. The shame destroyed his spirit. He died 5 years ago, broken and forgotten, while Marcus Donovan built an empire on stolen innovation. Sofia's mother had died when she was young. Her father was all she had, and Marcus Donovan had taken him from her just as surely as if he'd pulled a trigger. So no, Sofia thought as she stood in Marcus's sterile penthouse. No pity. Marcus returned from Tokyo late on a Sunday night. Sofia heard him come in, heard him speaking briefly with Clara, heard his footsteps pass by her closed door without stopping. The next morning, they had their first real interaction as husband and wife. Sofia was making coffee in the kitchen when Marcus appeared, already dressed in an expensive suit, checking his phone. "Good morning," Sofia said. Marcus looked up, seeming almost surprised to find her there. "Right, you're here. Coffee?" "I just made a pot," Sofia replied. They stood in awkward silence as Marcus poured himself a cup. Sofia realized this man had no idea how to be married, even in a fake marriage. He looked uncomfortable in his own kitchen, as if her presence disrupted his routine. "So," Marcus finally said, "we should establish some ground rules. I usually leave for the office by 7. I work late most nights. Weekends, I'm often traveling. You're free to do whatever you want. Teach your classes, use the gym downstairs, whatever, just stay out of my study and my office." "Those are off limits." "Of course," Sofia agreed. "And what about public appearances? You mentioned we'd need to be seen together." Marcus frowned as if he'd forgotten that part. "Right. I suppose we'll need to do dinner occasionally. Some charity events. My assistant will coordinate with you." He started to leave, then paused. "You can order whatever you want. Furniture, clothes, books, whatever. Clara can help you. The credit card is on the counter." "Thank you," Sofia said. Marcus nodded and headed for the door, then stopped again. "Listen, I know this is weird, but it's only a year. We both benefit. No reason we can't be civil about it." "No reason at all," Sofia agreed quietly. After he left, Sofia stood in the silent kitchen, gripping her coffee cup so tightly her knuckles turned white. Civil. As if what he'd done to her father was something that could be handled civilly. As if stealing someone's life's work, destroying their health, and leaving them to die in shame was just business. The first month passed in a strange, disconnected routine. Marcus lived his life. Sofia lived hers. They occasionally crossed paths in the penthouse, morning coffee, late evening when they were both working. Marcus treated her with distant politeness, like a roommate he barely knew. Sofia played her part perfectly, the quiet, grateful wife who understood the arrangement and didn't make waves, but she was watching, learning, gathering information. She discovered Marcus's schedule, his habits, his weaknesses. She learned that he worked obsessively, often until 2 or 3 in the morning. That he had few real friends, mostly business associates. That his relationships were transactional. Everyone wanted something from him, and he expected nothing else. She learned that despite his wealth and success, Marcus Donovan was profoundly lonely, and slowly, carefully, Sofia began to shift the dynamic. It started small. She'd leave fresh coffee when she knew he'd be working late. Made sure his favorite breakfast was ready in the morning, asked Clara about his preferences and adjusted accordingly. Marcus noticed. "You don't have to do this," he said one evening, finding dinner waiting when he came home unexpectedly early. We're not." "I know what we are," Sofia said calmly. "But we live in the same space. It costs me nothing to be considerate." Marcus looked at her strangely, as if kindness without motive was a concept he couldn't process. "Thank you," he finally said, and for the first time he actually sat down and ate with her. They talked, carefully, superficially, about work, about the city, about nothing important, but it was the first real conversation they'd had. Sofia played it perfectly. Not too friendly, not too distant, just present. Over the next few weeks, these small moments accumulated. Marcus started coming home earlier occasionally, would ask about her day. They'd have dinner together once or twice a week, the conversations gradually becoming less awkward. Sofia learned that Marcus was brilliant when it came to business, but emotionally illiterate. That he'd built his empire by never trusting anyone, never letting anyone close. That somewhere beneath the cold CEO exterior was someone who'd forgotten how to be human. She learned these things, cataloged them, and felt her carefully constructed hatred begin to crack slightly. No, she told herself firmly. Remember what he did. Remember Dad. But it was getting harder to see Marcus only as the villain in her story when she was witnessing him as a person, flawed, lonely, stunted, but human. One evening, about 6 weeks into their arrangement, they were having dinner when Marcus asked, "Why did you really take this deal, Sofia?" She'd prepared for this question. "The money," she said simply. "I've been in academia my whole life. Comfortable but never wealthy. $500,000. That's freedom, security. The chance to write the book I've always wanted to write without worrying about bills." "No family?" Marcus pressed. "No one who objected to you marrying a stranger?" Sofia's grip tightened on her fork, but her voice remained steady. "My mother died when I was young. My father passed away 5 years ago. There's no one." She watched carefully, but Marcus showed no recognition. Thomas Reeves meant nothing to him, just another forgotten casualty of his rise to power. "I'm sorry," Marcus said, and he seemed to mean it. "I lost my parents young, too. Car accident when I was 22. My grandfather raised me after that, but he was harsh, demanded excellence, saw any emotion as weakness. It was the most personal thing Marcus had ever shared with her. Is that why you're so—" Sofia paused, choosing her words carefully. "Controlled?" Marcus gave a bitter laugh. "Controlled. That's one word for it. My grandfather used to say, 'A man who lets people close is a man who gives them power to destroy him.'" "That sounds lonely," Sofia said quietly. "It's practical," Marcus countered. But something in his eyes suggested he knew she was right. That night, lying in bed in her separate room, Sofia felt something she hadn't expected. Doubt. Her plan was working perfectly. She was inside Marcus's life, gathering information, positioning herself for the moment when she'd reveal everything and watch his carefully constructed world collapse. But revenge was supposed to be simple, pure, righteous. Why? Then, did she feel like she was betraying herself every time she made Marcus smile? 3 months into their arrangement, something shifted. It happened gradually, almost imperceptibly. The way Marcus started asking Sofia's opinion on things, small at first, like restaurant choices or weekend plans, then bigger, like business decisions. "I'm considering acquiring this startup," Marcus said one evening, showing her a proposal on his tablet. "Tech looks promising, but the founders are young, inexperienced. What do you think?" Sofia was surprised he was asking. "Why do you want my opinion?" "I'm a literature professor, not a business analyst." "Exactly," Marcus said. "You see things differently. Everyone in my world thinks the same way. Profit margins, market share, ROI. You think about people, about whether something matters." Sofia studied the proposal. The technology was impressive, an educational platform designed to make learning accessible to underserved communities. The founders were passionate, idealistic. "I think," Sofia said carefully, "that sometimes the best investments aren't the ones that make the most money immediately. Sometimes they're the ones that make a difference." Marcus looked at her for a long moment. "That's very naive." "Maybe," Sofia acknowledged. "But you asked what I thought, not what would maximize your profits." To her surprise, Marcus acquired the startup and kept the founders on, supporting their vision instead of gutting it for parts like he usually would. "This is your fault," he told Sofia later. "If this fails, I'm blaming you." But he was smiling when he said it. These moments accumulated. Marcus started coming home earlier. They'd have dinner together most nights now, conversations flowing more naturally. He'd tell her about his day, ask about her research, actually listen to her answers. One Saturday, Marcus surprised her. "I need to attend a charity gala tonight. My assistant already RSVP'd for both of us. Do you have something appropriate to wear, or should I have someone send options?" It was their first real public appearance together. "I can manage," Sofia said. Though her wardrobe was decidedly academic, lots of cardigans and comfortable shoes, nothing suited for a high society event. 3 hours later, a team arrived at the penthouse: stylist, makeup artist, hair designer. Marcus had arranged everything. "You really didn't have to do this," Sofia protested as they fussed over her. "We need to look like a real couple," Marcus said practically. "That means you need to look like you belong at my side." But when Sofia emerged in an elegant navy dress, hair styled in soft waves, makeup highlighting her features, Marcus's expression changed. "You look," he started, then seemed to forget what he was saying. "Beautiful." "You look beautiful." Sofia felt something flutter in her chest, something dangerous that she quickly suppressed. "Thank you." At the gala, Sofia watched Marcus navigate the crowd. He was in his element here, charming, confident, working the room with practiced ease. But she noticed how shallow it all was, how transactional. Every conversation was a negotiation, every smile a calculated move. Mrs. Donovan, a woman in an expensive gown, approached. Claire Patterson, wife of one of Marcus's business rivals. Such a surprise to hear Marcus had married, and so quietly. "You must tell us all about it." Sofia recognized the probe for what it was: an attempt to find scandal, weakness, something to gossip about. "It was very private," Sofia said smoothly. "Marcus values his privacy, as I'm sure you understand. We prefer to keep our relationship between us." "How romantic," Claire said, her tone suggesting she thought it was anything but. "And what is it you do, dear?" "I teach literature at Westbrook University." "Oh." Claire's expression made clear what she thought of that. "How quaint." "I'm sure it must be quite an adjustment, going from a professor's salary to all this." The implication was clear. Sofia was a gold digger who'd trapped Marcus. Sofia felt her temper flare, but before she could respond, Marcus appeared at her side. "Sofia has a PhD from Stanford," Marcus said coldly. "She's published 2 books on 19th century literature that have been widely acclaimed in academic circles. She's brilliant, accomplished, and frankly, Claire, more intellectually valuable than everyone in this room combined." Claire looked stunned. Marcus never defended anyone, never got personal. "Now, if you'll excuse us," Marcus continued, placing his hand on Sofia's lower back, "my wife and I have better conversations to attend to." He guided Sofia away, and she was acutely aware of his hand still resting against her back, warm through the fabric of her dress. "You didn't have to do that," Sofia said quietly. "Yes, I did," Marcus replied. "She was being condescending, and everything I said was true. You are brilliant. You do make these people look intellectually bankrupt by comparison." Sofia looked up at him, and something in Marcus's eyes made her breath catch. This wasn't the cold CEO she'd married. This was someone else, someone protective, someone who actually cared what people thought about her. "Marcus," she started, but he was already pulling her toward the dance floor. "We should dance," he said. "People are watching. We need to look convincing." But as they moved together to the slow music, Sofia felt the lie in his words. This wasn't about looking convincing. Something had changed between them, something neither of them was ready to acknowledge. Marcus's hand was firm on her waist, their bodies close. Sofia could feel his heartbeat, see the pulse at his throat. His eyes, usually so guarded, were unreadable but intense. "Sofia," he said quietly, "this arrangement, it's working out better than I expected." "What do you mean?" Marcus hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "I thought this would be difficult, awkward, but you've made it easy, comfortable. I actually enjoy coming home now. Enjoy talking with you." Sofia's heart raced. This was dangerous territory. She'd gotten too close. Let him get too close. She needed to remember why she was here, what he'd done. But in this moment, with Marcus looking at her like she mattered, like she was more than just a contract, Sofia felt her carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble. "I enjoy it too," she admitted, and she meant it. The song ended, but they stood there for a moment longer than necessary before breaking apart. Over the next few weeks, the lines between their arrangement and something real continued to blur. Marcus started touching her more, casual touches, his hand on her back, brushing her arm when making a point, sitting close enough on the couch that their shoulders touched. He'd text her during the day, asking her opinion on random things, sharing jokes, just connecting. He brought her coffee in bed on Sunday mornings, started planning weekend activities, museums, concerts, restaurants, things he never would have done before, and Sofia found herself responding, leaning into these moments, forgetting to maintain her distance. One evening, they were cooking together, an activity that had become a comfortable routine. Marcus was surprisingly competent in the kitchen when he tried, though he needed guidance. "No, not like that," Sofia laughed, taking the knife from his hands. "You're going to lose a finger." "Here," she positioned herself behind him, guiding his hands. "Like this, see?" Marcus turned his head, and suddenly they were very close, Sofia's arms still around him, their faces inches apart. "Sofia," Marcus said, his voice rough. "I think we should talk about what?" Sofia asked, even though she knew exactly what he meant. "About us. About what this is becoming." Sofia's heart pounded. This was it, the moment where everything could change, where her plan could fall apart completely, or where she could admit the truth, that somewhere along the way, she'd stopped playing a role. That her feelings for Marcus had become real, but before she could respond, Marcus's phone rang, a business emergency that couldn't wait. "I'm sorry," he said, frustration clear in his voice. "I have to take this. Can we finish this conversation later?" "Of course," Sofia said, stepping back, grateful for the reprieve. After Marcus left to handle his crisis, Sofia sat alone in the kitchen, her hands shaking. What was she doing? She'd come here for revenge, to make Marcus pay for what he'd done to her father. She'd planned this for 2 years, positioned herself perfectly, gained his trust, and now she was falling for him, actually falling for the man who'd destroyed her family. Sofia pulled out her phone and opened the hidden folder. Photos of her father, smiling and healthy before Marcus Donovan entered his life. Articles about the lawsuit. Her father's final letter, written weeks before his death, talking about betrayal and broken trust. "Remember," Sofia whispered to herself. "Remember why you're here." But even as she said it, she knew it was too late. She'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. And soon, very soon, she'd have to make a choice between the revenge she'd planned and the unexpected love she'd found. It happened on a Tuesday evening, exactly 4 months into their arrangement. Marcus came home early, which had become more common. He found Sofia in his study, the room he'd explicitly told her was off limits. She was standing at his desk, holding a file folder, her face pale. "Sofia?" Marcus's voice was confused, not yet angry. "What are you doing in here?" Sofia looked up, and Marcus saw something in her expression he'd never seen before. Anguish, guilt, and something else. Something like hatred. "Thomas Reeves," Sofia said quietly. "Do you remember that name?" Marcus frowned, searching his memory. Maybe? I'd have to check. Why?" 15 years ago," Sofia continued, her voice shaking slightly, "Thomas Reeves was your business partner. He developed the core technology for Nexus Technologies. Your company was built on his innovation." Recognition dawned on Marcus's face, followed quickly by wariness. "That was a long time ago. A business dispute. It was resolved legally." "You stole his work," Sofia said, her voice rising. "You used legal loopholes to force him out, kept the patents he'd developed, built your empire on his stolen innovation. And when he tried to fight you, when he spent years in legal battles he couldn't afford, you destroyed him?" Marcus's expression hardened. "This is business, Sofia. Partnerships dissolve. It happens." "Everything I did was legal." "Legal," Sofia repeated bitterly. "That's your defense? That you technically followed the law while morally destroying someone? How do you even know about this?" Marcus demanded. "What?" Then understanding hit him like a physical blow. "Reeves, You said your father's name was Reeves. Oh God, Thomas Reeves was your father. Was, Sofia confirmed, tears now streaming down her face. Past tense. Because he died 5 years ago, broken and humiliated, destroyed by what you did to him. Marcus felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. Sofia, I didn't know. When you said your father had passed, I never connected. Of course you didn't, Sofia interrupted. He was nothing to you. Just another casualty, another person you stepped on climbing to the top. You didn't even remember his name. Marcus's mind was reeling, trying to process this revelation. But that means this whole thing. Our marriage. You planned this? All of it? Sofia laughed bitterly. Planned it? I orchestrated it, Marcus. 2 years I spent positioning myself. I knew about your grandfather's will before you did. My friend works at the law firm that handled his estate. I made sure Elite Matrimonial Services had my profile ready. I knew you'd need someone forgettable, someone who wouldn't complicate your life. So I became that person. But why? Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. What was your endgame? What were you planning to do? Sofia held up the folder she'd been holding. This, your business records. Files on every questionable deal, every person you've crushed, every legal loophole you've exploited. I've been copying everything, building a case. I was going to take this to the media, to regulatory agencies, to every person you've ever wronged. I was going to destroy your company, your reputation, everything you built on my father's stolen work. So do it, Marcus said quietly. If that's what you came here to do, then do it. Sofia stared at him, surprised by his calm reaction. What? You're right, Marcus said, his voice hollow. About all of it. I did force your father out. I did use legal technicalities to steal his work. I was 23, ambitious, ruthless. I told myself it was just business, that he'd have done the same to me if positions were reversed. But that was a lie I told myself to justify what I knew was wrong. He moved to sit on the edge of his desk, suddenly looking exhausted. I remember Thomas. He was brilliant, kind, he trusted me, and I betrayed that trust because I wanted success more than I wanted to be a good person. So you admit it? Sofia said. I admit all of it, Marcus replied. And I can't change it. I can't bring your father back. I can't undo 15 years of building an empire on stolen innovation. But I can tell you that I'm sorry, even though I know that means nothing. Sofia felt her anger warring with something else, the part of her that had fallen for this man, the part that wanted to believe he could be better. Why didn't you recognize my name? She asked. Why didn't you make the connection? Your father's name was Thomas Reeves. His daughter was Sophie, not Sofia. And you said your mother died young. But I remember Thomas mentioning his wife. I guess I just never connected the dots. You changed your name? After my father died, Sofia confirmed. Sophie Reeves was too painful. Sofia felt like a new start. Marcus nodded slowly. So these past 4 months, everything, the dinners, the conversations, He trailed off. It was all part of your plan? All an act? This was Sofia's moment. The moment to confirm his worst fears, to twist the knife, to complete her revenge. But the words wouldn't come. It started as an act, she admitted quietly. But Marcus, somewhere along the way, it stopped being about revenge. When you defended me at that gala, when you started asking my opinion on things that mattered, when you actually listened, actually cared what I thought. That wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to... She stopped, unable to finish. Wasn't supposed to what? Marcus pressed. Fall in love with you! Sofia burst out, the words torn from her. I wasn't supposed to fall in love with the man who destroyed my father, but I did. And now I don't know what to do because I hate you for what you did, but I also... She broke off, sobbing. Marcus stood frozen, processing this revelation. Sofia loved him. Despite everything, despite the revenge she'd planned, she'd fallen for him, just as he'd fallen for her. Sofia, he said gently, moving toward her. Look at me. Don't, she warned, stepping back. Don't make this harder. I need to figure out what to do with all this. She gestured at the folder. What do you want to do? Marcus asked. I don't know. Sofia cried. I came here to destroy you. That was my purpose, my mission for 2 years. But now I know you. I know you're not just the villain in my story. You're complicated and flawed and capable of growth. You've changed these past months, Marcus. I've watched you become more human, more open. The man I've gotten to know these past 4 months, he's not the same man who betrayed my father 15 years ago. Marcus felt something crack inside him. You're right. I'm not that man anymore. Or maybe I never wanted to be that man. But I thought that's what success required. Your father, what I did to him, it haunts me, Sofia. I've carried that guilt for 15 years, buried it under layers of justification and rationalization. But it never went away. He took a deep breath. When we met, when I asked you to marry me, I thought I was so clever. A business transaction, clean and simple. No emotions, no complications. But you came into my life and reminded me what it feels like to be human, to care about someone, to want to be better. Marcus, I'm in love with you, he said simply. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you first challenged me at dinner? Maybe when you looked at me like I could be more than just a ruthless CEO. But somewhere between the contract and now, you became the most important person in my life. Sofia was crying openly now. How can I love you? How can I forgive what you did? Maybe you can't, Marcus admitted. Maybe what I did is unforgivable. But Sofia, if there's any chance, any possibility that we can build something real from this mess, then I'm asking you to take it. Not for the arrangement, not for the money, but because what we have, this thing between us, it's real. It's the most real thing in my life. Sofia looked at the folder in her hands, her revenge, everything she'd worked for. Then she looked at Marcus, seeing the man he'd become, the man he was still becoming. I can't just forgive you, she said finally. What you did, it destroyed my father. That doesn't just go away because I have feelings for you. I know, Marcus said. And I'm not asking you to forget or pretend it didn't happen. But maybe we can find a way forward that honors your father's memory. That makes something good come from all this pain. How? Sofia asked desperately. Marcus thought for a moment. The company, Nexus Technologies. It was built on your father's innovation. What if we made it into something he'd be proud of? What if we used our resources to do actual good, fund education, support innovation, help people like your father who have brilliant ideas but no resources? That doesn't bring him back, Sofia pointed out. No, Marcus agreed. Nothing can do that. But maybe it's a start. And Sofia, if you want to go to the media with those files, if you want to destroy me, I won't fight you. I'll even help you. I'll publicly acknowledge what I did, face whatever consequences come. Because you deserve justice for your father. And because I love you enough to lose everything if that's what you need. Sofia stared at him, searching his face for any sign of manipulation, any hint that this was just another calculated move. But all she saw was raw honesty and pain. I don't want to destroy you, she whispered. I thought I did. For 2 years, that's all I wanted. But now I just want my father back. I want him to see that his work mattered, that he mattered. Marcus moved closer slowly, giving her space to step away if she needed to. Then let's make sure his work matters. Let's build something that would make him proud, together. I don't know if I can do this, Sofia admitted. Trust you. Forgive you. Build a life with you after everything. I don't know if you can either, Marcus said honestly. But Sofia, these past 4 months have been the best of my life. Not because of the arrangement, but because of you. Because you made me want to be better. And if there's even a chance, stop, Sofia interrupted. Just stop talking for a minute. She stood there, torn between the revenge she'd planned and the love she'd found. Between honoring her father's memory and building her own future. Between justice and forgiveness. Finally, she set the folder down on Marcus's desk. I'm not ready to forgive you, she said carefully. I may never be completely ready. What you did to my father, that's a wound that will take time to heal if it ever fully does. Marcus nodded, not arguing. But, Sofia continued, I also can't ignore what's happened between us. The man I've gotten to know these past months, he's not perfect. He's still arrogant sometimes, still too focused on business, still learning how to be emotionally available. But he's trying. He's growing. And I think I need to give that man a chance. What does that mean? Marcus asked carefully. It means we start over, Sofia said. No more contracts. No more arrangements. No more fake marriage. If we're going to do this, really do this, then it has to be real. Honest. Even when the truth is hard. I want that, Marcus said immediately. More than anything. It also means you make things right, Sofia continued, her voice firmer now. With my father's legacy. With the company. You can't just promise change, Marcus. You have to actually do it. Tell me what you need, Marcus said. Anything, Sofia thought for a moment. The Thomas Reeves Innovation Foundation. Funded by Nexus Technologies. Scholarships for engineering students from underprivileged backgrounds. Grants for independent inventors who can't afford legal protection. Support for people like my father who have brilliant ideas but no resources. And his name, everywhere. On buildings, on programs, on every piece of literature. The world should know that Nexus Technologies was built on Thomas Reeves's innovation, and that his legacy lives on. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. Done, all of it. I'll announce it publicly. I'll make sure everyone knows the truth about your father's contribution. And one more thing, Sofia added. You personally oversee it. This can't be something you delegate. You need to be involved, to meet these students and inventors, to understand what your actions 15 years ago really meant, to see the human cost of your choices. Yes, Marcus agreed without hesitation. Whatever it takes. They stood there, the weight of everything hanging between them, the betrayal, the revenge, the unexpected love, the tentative path forward. I'm scared, Sofia admitted. I'm scared I'm making a mistake. Scared I'm betraying my father's memory by being with you. Scared this will all fall apart. I'm scared too, Marcus confessed. I'm scared I don't deserve this chance. Scared I'll let you down. Scared I don't know how to be the person you need me to be. Sofia managed a small, watery smile. I guess we're both terrified then. Terrified together, Marcus agreed. He held out his hand, not commanding, not demanding, just offering. Sofia looked at it for a long moment. This was the choice, the moment that would define everything that came after. Slowly, she reached out and took his hand. We do this right, she said. No more lies. No more games. Complete honesty, even when it hurts. Agreed, Marcus said. Complete honesty. They left that night, barely packing, both needing to escape the weight of the revelations. The cabin was exactly as Marcus described. Small, simple, beautiful. A 2-bedroom structure on a quiet lake, surrounded by pine trees, far from the city's noise and complications. I'll take the guest room, Marcus said immediately as they arrived. You should have the master. It has the better view, Marcus, Sofia said gently. We're not strangers. You don't have to... I know, he interrupted. But we're also starting over. And I want to do this right. No assumptions. No rushing. We go at whatever pace you're comfortable with. Sofia felt a surge of affection for this man who was trying so hard to be better. Thank you. They spent the weekend at the cabin, and slowly, carefully, they began to rebuild. Marcus cooked breakfast, badly, making Sofia laugh as he burned the eggs. They took long walks around the lake, talking about everything and nothing. They sat on the dock at sunset, side by side, watching the water turn gold and red, and they talked. Really talked. Sofia told Marcus stories about her father, about his laugh, his terrible jokes, his passion for innovation, his unwavering belief that technology should serve humanity, not the other way around. He sounds remarkable, Marcus said quietly. I wish I'd known him better. Wish I'd appreciated what he brought to Nexus beyond just the technology. He saw something in you, Sofia admitted, before everything fell apart. He used to come home excited about this brilliant young business partner he had. Said you had vision, drive. He believed you two were going to change the world together. Marcus closed his eyes. The weight of that trust he'd betrayed almost physical. I'm so sorry, Sofia. I know I keep saying it, but I don't know what else to say. How do you apologize for destroying someone's life? You don't, Sofia said honestly. You can't apologize for that. But you can honor his memory. Make sure his work, his innovations, his belief in using technology for good, you can make sure that lives on. The foundation, Marcus said. We start Monday. I'll get the legal team on it immediately. And Sofia, I want you involved. Every decision, every program. This is your father's legacy. You should have control over how it develops. Over the weekend, they sketched out plans. The Thomas Reeves Innovation Foundation would start with a $50 million endowment from Marcus personally. Scholarships for engineering students, grants for independent inventors, legal support for those who couldn't afford patent protection, mentorship programs connecting established engineers with young talent. It's not enough, Marcus said. It'll never be enough to make up for what I took from him. No, Sofia agreed. But it's a start. It's something real and good that comes from all this pain. On their last evening at the cabin, they sat on the porch, wrapped in blankets against the cool autumn air. Can I ask you something? Marcus said. Anything, Sofia replied. When did you start to forgive me? Or are you forgiving me? I don't want to assume. Sofia considered the question carefully. I'm not sure I have forgiven you. Not completely, but I think I'm starting to understand you. To see that people are complicated, that good people can do terrible things, and that growth and change are possible. She turned to face him. You're not the same man who betrayed my father 15 years ago, Marcus. That doesn't excuse what you did, but it means I can see a future where we build something together, where we honor my father's memory while also creating our own story. I love you, Marcus said simply. I know that timing is terrible. I know we have so much to work through, but I need you to know this is real for me. You're real for me. I love you too, Sofia admitted, even though part of me wishes I didn't, even though it's complicated and messy and maybe a little bit crazy. Very crazy, Marcus agreed with a small smile. But it's real, Sofia continued. And maybe that's what matters. Not that everything is perfect or resolved, but that what we feel is genuine. Marcus reached for her hand. So where do we go from here? We go home, Sofia said. Back to the city, back to reality. And we build something real. No more contracts, no more arrangements. Just us, figuring it out day by day. Together, Marcus added. Together, Sofia confirmed. They returned to the city on Sunday evening, and true to his word, Marcus immediately set things in motion. Monday morning, he called an emergency board meeting. I have an announcement, Marcus told his executives and board members. 15 years ago, Nexus Technologies was founded on innovation developed by Thomas Reeves. I forced him out of the company through legal technicalities, claiming sole ownership of patents we'd developed together. It was wrong. It was theft. And I've carried that guilt for 15 years. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. But Marcus continued. Effective immediately. I'm establishing the Thomas Reeves Innovation Foundation. Funded with $50 million from my personal assets. The foundation will honor Thomas's belief that technology should serve humanity by supporting the next generation of inventors and engineers. He looked around the table. I'm also commissioning a comprehensive historical review of Nexus's founding to be made publicly available. The truth about Thomas Reeves's contributions will be acknowledged. His name will be on this building, on our literature, everywhere. The world will know that Nexus Technologies was built on his innovation. Marcus, his CFO started. This could impact the company's reputation. Our stock price, I don't care, Marcus interrupted. This is about doing what's right. About honoring someone I wronged. The company will survive. Our technology is sound. But we need to build our future on truth, not on stolen credit. After the meeting, Marcus's assistant approached him nervously. Mr. Donovan, the media is already calling. They want to know about Thomas Reeves, about your marriage to his daughter. Tell them the truth, Marcus said. All of it. Sofia and I will give a joint statement. That evening, Marcus and Sofia sat down with a journalist from a major business publication. Mr. Donovan, you're admitting to essentially stealing your business partner's work. Why come forward now? Marcus glanced at Sofia, who nodded encouragingly. Because I fell in love with his daughter, Marcus said simply. And because she reminded me that success built on someone else's stolen innovation isn't real success. It's a lie, and I'm tired of living with that lie. The journalist turned to Sofia. Ms. Reeves, or should I say Mrs. Donovan, did you marry Marcus to expose him? Was this always your plan? Sofia took a breath. Initially, yes. I married Marcus planning to destroy him, to expose everything he'd done to my father. But somewhere in that process, I discovered that people are capable of change. That the man who wronged my father 15 years ago isn't the same man sitting next to me now? So you're staying married? The journalist pressed. Sofia and Marcus looked at each other. They hadn't actually discussed this, the legal status of their arrangement. We're starting over, Sofia said carefully. Not as part of a contract or an arrangement, but as two people who love each other and are trying to build something real despite a complicated history. The article came out 2 days later. The response was immediate and intense. Some praised Marcus for his honesty and commitment to making amends. Others condemned him for the original theft and saw the foundation as too little, too late. The stock initially dipped, then stabilized, as investors realized the company's fundamentals were strong. But the most unexpected response came from the engineering and academic communities. Professor after professor, inventor after inventor came forward sharing their memories of Thomas Reeves. Stories of his brilliance, his kindness, his vision. Dad would be amazed, Sofia said, reading through the flood of tributes. He always thought he'd been forgotten. But all these people remember him. Remember what he contributed. Marcus read over her shoulder, seeing his former partner through others' eyes. Each story was another reminder of what he'd taken, but also inspiration for what they could build. The Thomas Reeves Innovation Foundation officially launched 6 weeks later. The ceremony was held at Nexus Technologies headquarters, now renamed the Thomas Reeves Technology Center. Sofia gave a speech, her voice steady despite her emotions. My father believed that technology should serve humanity, that innovation should lift people up, create opportunities, make the world better. The Marcus Donovan of 15 years ago forgot that principle. But the man I know now, the man I've watched transform over these past months, he's committed to honoring my father's vision. She looked directly at Marcus. This foundation isn't just about making amends. It's about ensuring that brilliant minds from all backgrounds have the support they need, that inventors can focus on innovation without fear of having their work stolen, that my father's legacy lives on in every student we help, every patent we protect, every invention we support. Marcus stood to speak, his voice thick with emotion. I can't change the past. I can't give Thomas Reeves back the credit he deserved while he was alive, but I can make sure his name, his work, and his values shape the future of this company and this foundation. And I promise, to Sofia, to Thomas's memory, to everyone watching, that I will spend the rest of my life making sure his vision becomes reality. After the ceremony, as they stood together watching the sun set over the city, Sofia leaned against Marcus. He would have liked this, she said quietly. The foundation, the recognition. He'd be pleased. You think so? Marcus asked hopefully. I do, Sofia confirmed. He was never vengeful. He was hurt and betrayed, but he always believed in second chances, in redemption, in the possibility that people could change. I'm trying to be worthy of that belief, Marcus said. I know, Sofia replied. I see it every day, in how you've thrown yourself into the foundation work, in how you've changed your business practices, in how you treat people now, with respect, with consideration. You're not perfect, Marcus. You still have moments where the old arrogance surfaces, but you're genuinely trying to be better. Because of you, Marcus said. You made me want to be better. Sofia shook her head. No. I showed you who you could be, but the choice to change, that was all you. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment before Marcus spoke again. I need to ask you something. Our marriage, it started as a contract, but that contract ended months ago. We've been together since then because we choose to be, but legally. Sofia, I want to do this right. I want to marry you again. Really marry you. Not for an inheritance or a contract, but because I love you and I want to build a life with you. He pulled out a small box, not the flashy, expensive ring he would have chosen a year ago, but something simpler, more meaningful, a sapphire surrounded by small diamonds. It was my mother's, Marcus explained, the only thing of hers I kept. She was the last person I truly loved before you. I'd be honored if you'd wear it. Sofia felt tears streaming down her face. Marcus, I know we still have work to do, Marcus continued. I know trust is something I have to keep earning. But Sofia, I want to spend the rest of my life earning it. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to build the foundation together. I want to have kids someday and tell them about their grandfather, Thomas Reeves, and make sure they understand that brilliance and kindness matter more than success. Yes, Sofia whispered. Yes, Marcus repeated, not quite believing. Yes, Sofia said more firmly. Yes, I'll marry you. Really marry you. Not because of a contract or revenge or anything except that I love you. Despite everything, because of everything, I love you. Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, and they kissed. Not their first kiss, but somehow it felt like it. A new beginning, a real start. We're going to mess this up sometimes, Sofia warned. I'm going to have days where I'm angry about my father, where I remember everything you did and it hurts all over again. I know, Marcus said, and I'm going to have moments where I fall back into old patterns, where I'm too controlling or too focused on work or too closed off emotionally. So we'll be a mess, Sofia concluded. A beautiful mess, Marcus corrected. Together. They remarried 3 months later, a small private ceremony at the lake cabin where they'd begun to rebuild. Just a few close friends, Clara the housekeeper who'd supported them through everything, and Marcus's assistant who'd helped coordinate the foundation. But the most important guest was there in spirit. Sofia carried a photo of her father, placing it on a small table during the ceremony. Dad, she said softly, touching the photo. I've forgiven him. Not because what he did was okay, but because people deserve second chances. Because your life's work is being honored. Because I hope, you'd want me to be happy. She looked at Marcus, standing there in a simple suit, looking nervous and hopeful and real. And Marcus makes me happy, she continued. The man he's become, the man he's still becoming, he makes me want to believe in redemption, in change, in love that grows stronger through honesty and forgiveness. The officiant, a friend of Sofia's from university, smiled warmly. Marcus, Sofia, you come to this marriage with a complicated history, with pain and betrayal, but also with forgiveness and growth. You've chosen to build something new from something broken, to honor the past while creating a better future. That's not easy, but it's real, and it's beautiful. Marcus took Sofia's hands, his voice steady but emotional. Sofia, I came into your life as part of a selfish plan. You came into mine seeking revenge. But we found something neither of us expected. Truth. Real connection. Love. I promise to spend every day honoring your father's memory, being worthy of your forgiveness, and loving you with everything I have. Sofia smiled through her tears. Marcus, you hurt my family in ways that can never be completely repaired. But you've also shown me that people can change, that love can grow from unlikely places, that redemption is possible. I promise to keep challenging you to be better, to help you honor my father's legacy, and to love you, flaws, growth, complicated history, and all. They exchanged rings, new ones chosen together, symbolizing this fresh start. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said. Again, but this time for real. They kissed as the small gathering applauded, and Sofia felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years, since before her father died. Peace, not the absence of pain, but peace despite it. Peace that comes from honesty, from forgiveness earned and given, from building something meaningful from the wreckage. As they walked back down the aisle together, Marcus whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" Sofia asked. "For giving me a second chance," Marcus said. "For seeing who I could be, not just who I was. For making me want to be better." "Thank you," Sofia replied. "For being willing to change. For honoring my father. For loving me enough to face your past honestly." They stood on the cabin porch as the sun set, the lake reflecting gold and crimson, the future uncertain but theirs to build. "What happens now?" Marcus asked. Sofia smiled. Now we live. We run the foundation. We make mistakes and forgive each other. We honor my father's memory while creating our own story. We build a life based on truth, not contracts. That sounds perfect, Marcus said, pulling her close. It sounds complicated, Sofia corrected. Perfectly complicated, Marcus agreed. And as they watched the sunset together, no longer bound by contracts or revenge, but by choice and love and the hard work of forgiveness, they both knew that this was just the beginning. Not the easy beginning of a fairy tale, but the real, messy, beautiful beginning of two imperfect people choosing to build something genuine together. The Thomas Reeves Innovation Foundation would go on to fund hundreds of students, protect countless patents, and change thousands of lives. Marcus Donovan would never forget what he'd done, but he'd spend the rest of his life making amends. And Sofia Reeves Donovan would honor her father's memory not through revenge, but through love. Love that demanded honesty, growth, and the courage to forgive without forgetting. They'd build their empire not on stolen innovation, but on truth, redemption, and the belief that people, even flawed, broken people, deserve second chances. And sometimes, the most beautiful stories are the ones that begin with the worst mistakes and end with hard-won grace. What did you think of Marcus and Sofia's story? Rate it from 0 to 10 in the comments below. My favorite moment was when Sofia revealed the truth about her father, and Marcus had to face what he'd done. What was yours? If you enjoyed this redemption story, subscribe to Deep Stories, stories that move you.